Hi, I'm Peggy Kelly, and this is our Chatting with the Candidates, the City Council candidates. It's our update on the Santa Paula City Council race, and we've got 4 candidates running for 2 seats, and one of our candidates is Caitlan Barringer. Hello, Caitlan. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me, Peggy.
Absolutely. So could you tell us a little about yourself, Caitlan?
Sure, my name is Caitlan Barringer. I'm a third-generation resident of Santa Paula. I have my master's in public administration from CSUN. I currently work in fund development for a local nonprofit called Kids and Families Together, and I currently sit on the Measure T Commission in the city.
And the Measure T Commission is the 1-cent sale tax oversight committee.
Correct. That funds projects such as police, youth, and roads in our city.
Okay, great, great. Now, why did you decide to get on the Measure T committee?
So I actually am a recent graduate of the Ventura County Leadership Academy, which really brings problems in our community to our local community. And it really brings leaders together to help combat these problems. So I actually attended the SURF luncheon, the California Economic Forecast and Research Center luncheon. And I learned that for the first time in our county, we are at a negative population. And in Santa Paula, in the city of Santa Paula, we are at a negative population for the 2nd year in a row. And that was concerning because we're also an aging population. There's more people leaving California than there are staying here and able to find jobs and have their families here. So when I looked at it at a county level, I was very concerned and I didn't really know what to do. So I was able to get involved on a local level, and the Measure T Commission seemed like a perfect fit. How do you help your community? How do you help the place that you love and the place that you want that next generation of leadership to thrive in? And so that's why I really felt like now was the time to get involved at the city level and in local government.
And then, of course, that led to you running for city council.
Absolutely, being that next generational voice in the city and encouraging hopefully others to do the same. I would love to see a whole next wave of leadership that's from this community, that loves this community, that wants to see this community thrive.
Absolutely. Now, there were any special, oh, by the way, I would be remiss if I didn't mention that your grandfather was the wonderful late Carl Barringer, who had served on the city council and was mayor and the commander of the VFW, and, you know, a wonderful guy. Loved Carl. And also your grandmother, Kathy, who's still perky and fun and all that stuff. And she also was very involved in the community and was one of the founders of hospice. So got a very strong background in doing good, as it were. So, but why specifically did you decide to run for the council? Was there any issue that you saw that concerned you? Was there anything in particular that you want to tackle?
Yeah, so really my area of focus is economic development for our city. I really, I think it's a multi-level approach. I think we need to bring business here, and not just, you know, small business, but medium and large size businesses. I think we need to look at jobs where families can live here and afford to live here and afford to buy houses here. I think we need to invest in our youth in this town. As you mentioned, my family, I have such a deep love for this community and just such a passion for it. And so with my master's in public administration and my love for public policy as well, it just seems like a perfect fit to be able to serve on city council, work on city budget, work on city policy, and just be that next generational voice.
Mm-hmm. What are you hearing from people? What is the public telling you? What are their concerns?
The main concerns of the public right now, well, obviously we're in an economic recession due to COVID, but also streets are a high topic and priority, which sitting on the Measure T Commission, I'm very familiar with. I'm excited about our new hot mix machine that we just got that's a permanent pothole patch. So that's really exciting. And there's a great 5-year road maintenance plan project underway that will hopefully, in the next 5 years, you'll see a significant difference in our roads. So that's really exciting. Also, the sewer and water treatment rates are another concern of the city. I know that we just refinanced our bonds, and we were able to save some money on that, but we do have to look at dechlorinization for the city and what that looks like. So I think there's some options we have there. It's kind of difficult, but I think if we look at maybe solar as a way to reduce operational costs, that's another high concern for the residents of Santa Paula.
And you're talking about solar for the city as far as like for the wastewater treatment plant.
Yes.
for the street lights and all those other things, which I guess runs well over $1 million a year, if not $2 million a year.
Yeah, so just looking at those creative approaches on how we can really listen to the citizens' concerns when it comes to some of those costs.
So in other words, you're looking at a combination of generating revenue and retaining revenue, as it were, or not putting anything out. So I mean, so basically you want to generate revenue with all size businesses, which is a good idea because we do have industrial areas here that you know, and also the city saving money by just, you know, and things like that, energy savings, things like that. So it's a combination.
Well, and I think that there's more along the lines of the potential for this. We're on the 126 corridor. We have homes that are going in Fillmore and Piru, and they have to go to Ventura for most of their needs. Why can't Santa Paula be the one-stop shop for them? We also have Ojai in our backyard, where there's a lot of people who have weekend homes from LA. We have amazing museums here. We have amazing charm in this community. So how do we attract them into our city? And then not only that, but we have motorcyclists, we have bicyclists that come through our city by the masses on the weekends. So how do we?
It is massive.
But here and I mean, there's just so much potential in this community, and I think we're just tapping into it. And I think it's a really exciting time on where we're headed.
That's great. Now, how are things on the campaign trail? You found that very different, I guess, with COVID. It's not what you expected. How have you been reaching voters?
Yeah, so working in the nonprofit sector,
tell us a little bit about your organization, because it is such a wonderful organization.
Yeah, so I work for a nonprofit called Kids and Families Together. So we provide the mental health and support services for honestly some of our most vulnerable families in the county. It's grandparents caring for grandchildren, it's foster families, it's adoptive families, it's parents at risk of losing their children. Let's go in and teach them the parenting skills before the child's removed. It's reunifying families, and it's really mental health services and dealing with trauma for children, some of the most needy children. So during COVID, we've had to have this unique experience of how do you still provide these much needed services now more than ever?
Yes.
Times are hard on families. And how do you, I mean, obviously there's the typical ways of phone and Zoom and engaging them, but we were able to create a drive-through distribution and feed our families and also give them summer toys and be able to check in them through the car. We were able to celebrate Mother's Day, Father's Day, back to school supplies with them. So I kind of used some of those relationships that I had and ideas that I had during COVID early on to bring to my campaign. So I did a drive-through kickoff, which was really fun. Where people stayed in the car, you know, we wore masks, we were socially distanced, and they were able to pick up signs and drop off donations and meet the candidates. So that was really, really fun and exciting and kind of creative. And then it's, you know, I've never campaigned before. So campaigning your first time during COVID, you're learning a lot. And even something as simple as a virtual Zoom or having a forum that's not in person is different via Zoom. So you just have to adapt.
Very different. Now, the thing is too, is that as far as campaigning going with the public, do you find that people, what's the mood out there? How do you find the mood out there? Are you hearing a lot of complaints from people? Are you hearing, you know, I mean, do you think the mood is upbeat, downbeat? What do you think how the public is? I know we'd had a few very rough years and a lot of, our morale was pretty beaten up for a while and things like that. And Santa Paula, unfortunately, was taking a bad rap now and then and things like that. Do you see people are more hopeful now? Do you think by seeing some of the street work being done, they realize that things are getting better? We're on a different road, no pun intended.
I think it's a really challenging year for everyone on different levels. I think it's challenging for parents that are trying to navigate distance learning. I think it's challenging for people who own their own businesses. I think it's So the mood, I would say it's hopeful, but I would say that mental health is and self-care is more important now than ever for our community.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with everything that's going on nationwide with the presidential election, and there's I don't think there's an easy answer to that. I want to say that people are hopeful, but I also think realistically, I think times are tough, and I think we need to be sensitive to that. And I think we need to be creative in our approaches, and I think we need to listen. I think listening more and hearing them is really, really important.
Yes, very true. Now, you were one of the first people to come out of the gate saying that you would support cannabis dispensaries. So, would you like to talk about that some? That's
Yeah.
Let's hear about that.
So, I mean, I obviously want to listen to the residents of Santa Paula. I'm not, we have to open up cannabis dispensaries. That's not my stance. But through the Ventura County Leadership Academy, I was fortunate enough to actually talk with Andrew Salinas, the police chief in Port Hueneme, to also talk to Sheriff Fryhoff, who's now in Thousand Oaks, but was in Ojai. I've toured the dispensaries. The police have 24 access cameras to them. They're not little smoke shops. They're like these extravagant places where everything is itemized. And I think
when you say itemized, you mean very well controlled.
Very, very well controlled, and very actually more regulated than you would actually think it is. And when you look in Port Hueneme and you look at that community that struggled with gangs and struggled with, has a history of vandalism and crime, they've actually reduced crime since the dispensaries have gone in. The dispensaries are closed by 9 o'clock at night. They don't look like these, they don't look like what you think they would. They're just little tiny buildings. And the revenue that comes in for that city is millions of dollars a year in additional revenue. And what's really interesting is 1% actually goes back to the community through this REACH program that funnels back into the youth, funnels back into the police, funnels back into some of these mental health services and social services. And in a city like Santa Paula, it's a city in general, it's hard to create new revenue streams. So I think we would be amiss if we didn't even look into the opportunity to create those new revenue streams so that we can grow certain things that we want to grow in this community, like our youth programs, and really invest in our youth. Like I would love to see a homeless liaison officer that is just assigned to help with the homeless and social workers, right? Things that can better our community. And we can do it through various ways, right? Like the potential of the economic development that I mentioned earlier. I mean, there's other avenues to do this. I just think that we really need to be strategic, and it's worth taking a look and talking about it. But again, I think the residents' voice and concerns matter as well.
Oh, sure. Yes. But, I didn't mean to imply that you came out like gung-ho, or anything like that, like, let's go. But you did. You stepped right out and said that you thought it should be examined. And, and that's can be a controversial subject. And, and speaking of controversial subjects, defunding the police. And I know that you had a little issue with that this week, which was unfortunate. And if you'd like to, now I'll explain to the audience that what happened is that there was a story in the county paper, and these things happen, especially during election season when everybody's so busy, and it's not a good thing though, ever in journalism. And Caitlan was misquoted as saying that implying that she supported defunding the police, and the publication went ahead and issued a very nice retraction the next day, a correction. And so now you and I, now that we've got that cleared up, let's talk about actually how you view defunding the police.
Yes, the journalist was very, very nice. And
yes, that's awful.
It right away.
Journalist, that's awful.
Yeah. So when it comes to Santa Paula specifically with our police department, our officers do so much with what they have. I don't know if people are aware, but during COVID especially, our officers had to book and release pretty much everyone, unless it was for 13 major crimes. And then, as you know, criminals were being released from jail. So this movement for defund the police came out at the same time. And literally these officers are booking people, and before their shift's even over, they're back on the streets. And so I think now more than ever, it's really hard on our police department. And I think they do so much. Due to COVID, our sales tax, our city's largest revenue source is our sales tax, and our sales tax hit a significant it hit a significant decrease this year due to COVID, and it's going to take us a while to build that back up. So when you're talking about defunding, they've already pulled funds from the police department. Every department within the city had to go in and look and reevaluate and see what they could do without, just so we can make budget this year, and it's going to continue. But I am thrilled to be endorsed by our local police association. And I went on a ride along with our local officers, and I toured the police department, and I spent the day with them, and I saw a formal complaint submitted, and I got to watch the process. I got to see the dispatchers, and I have nothing but the most respect for them. I think they do a lot on a really tight budget. I know that there's 3 positions that they're not filling right now. So I do not support defunding our local police department. In fact, I would like to see additional revenue sources funneled into them, so that we could have programs such as specialized training for our officers, that homeless liaison officer. I would like to see an increase in our community engagement with our officers, such as a police activities league and our explorers program for high schools. I think Citizens Patrol and our reserve unit are phenomenal. Let's grow those programs. And so I actually think we need to invest in our local law enforcement so that they can do more community policing and be able to be a part of our community more.
Okay, interesting. Yes. Okay. Well, I guess you cleared that up. I know that's sad, and I shouldn't joke about it, but it is. I have to check this. I just got an urgent message, but it's okay. Now, how have you found campaigning in general? I mean, as far as just are you? I know you had these drive-through events and things like that. Are people, Santa Paulans, pretty open with you about discussing things, and have you sensed any unrest other than like sewer, things like that?
So when it comes to campaigning, I think there's 2 types of people right now. There's the people that, you want to be respectful of those with COVID and pre-existing conditions. So I've actually not chosen to door knock. I just drop pieces. I go door to door, and if they want to engage, I let them. If they don't, I respect that. And I think you almost have to at this time. I have had people reach out to me and want to meet and have conversations, and they've been very encouraging about our city and where it wants to go, and I'm thankful for that. But I've never campaigned before, so I'm learning a whole new political world that it has its highs and it has its lows like everything else, and I'm thankful for the opportunity. I'm learning a ton. It's opened up a lot of doors. I've been able to meet with a lot of different departments within the city and learn so much more about the city. And not only that, but departments like public health and Ventura Behavioral Health, and even Nature Conservancy, because I had a question about the homeless population, and now I'm going to get a tour of the new, access to the public that's hopefully coming in 2023. Yeah. And so it's been a time of learning and growing in opportunities, and I'm extremely thankful for that. It's been really, really fun, actually.
Absolutely. All right. Well, is there anything you'd like to add, or any particular issue that's on your mind, or something I should have asked you and I didn't?
I think, I would like to say that there's I would like to see something else that I'm very passionate about for our community is a lack of social services and mental health services here. And I think it's changing and it's exciting. I'm excited that we're going to be starting a social service coalition here in this community. I'm excited that Ventura actually brought mental health services to their
excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt, but people have to understand that a lot of these social services, they come from the county. They're not a city function, but it's a matter of the city working with them. So when you talk about something, excuse me, that's starting up in the community, what is that? A social services
coalition. So it's actually exciting since I work for, you know, in the social service and mental health field. We're actually going to be able to partner with Parks and Recs and create this 1 month coalition where people can come to the table and just talk about their services, such as Ventura Behavioral Health, such as other nonprofits like, you know, MyCop and Interface, and just a real hub so that people can have access to what's happening. I would like to see like maybe like a community page. I'm not sure who would run it, if it would be city or not, where just they could have access to resources. I think there's so many ways that we can bring these services or make them more aware in our community by building those partnerships, like you said, and working together. I'm really excited about the mental health services that are going to be coming. We're doing a workshop series in the park where Ventura Behavioral Health and Parks and Recs are able to partner together and bring those to Santa Paula. And so it's really exciting just to see how building relationships, creating new relationships, maintaining those relationships, and collaborating. I think unity is so important, especially now in this time coming out of COVID. How do we come out stronger and better after facing COVID? So I think that's exciting. I also think our youth are a huge part of our community, and the next generation of leadership is so important to me. And I would love to just create more mentorship opportunities with our youth, more programs for our youth, where they just really learn to love this community, and then they want to have jobs here, and they want to thrive here, and they want to raise their families here, and they want to get involved locally here, you know. And so I think that's something else that I'm very passionate about and excited to kind of get my hands more in. So yeah.
And of course, being on the Measure T committee's been a pretty eye-opening experience, because, you know, you've dealt with police, you've dealt with roads, you've dealt with youth. So it is a good background. It's a good education, a civic education, as it were. All right. Well, listen, Caitlan, such a pleasure to see you as always, and good luck on November 3rd. And we enjoyed having you stop by, and thank you. And thank you for your civic engagement, as it were. And I'm Peggy Kelly once again, and this is our candidate update. And that was Caitlan Barringer, and she's running for the city council. And we appreciate you watching, and thank you so much.
Thank you.